Hi, it's Audra,
Jason,
and Matt
from Drinkopedia Podcast.
We're a bad education podcast that's like drunk history for the full curriculum.
We have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on most major podcast platforms.
Join us at the bar and follow us on Twitter at Drinkopedia Pod.
This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, you're wasting time with Chris, Beth, and Matt. My name is Chris Williams. With me as always is...
Beth Golpe.
And...
Matt December.
How are you?
Sorry,
how are you guys?
We're good. I'm good.
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm laughing as we're starting off because we're on Skype again. And Matt, you keep flipping off the webcam, but it freezes, so I just have like a big middle finger staring me back on the screen.
Yeah.
Aw, sorry, Chris.
That's all right.
You can't take them anywhere.
It's kind of like just being with my son, so it's all right. So it's my favorite episode, which is our favorite to do.
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear what your guys' favorites are right now.
I know.
Summer can be a hard time for favorites. It's like you don't have a lot of time to sit and like read, or I mean, it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm way busier in the summer than I am in the winter, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's between running off to family things and going to the park with the kids and things like that, and then you're sitting outside later too. It's not like
it's like less screen time, so there's not as much. Yeah.
And you know what is not my favorite? Nature.
Oh.
So, I'm sorry, it is. It's wonderful, but it's not fun to talk about.
That's fair.
So, for those who are just joining in, the It's My Favorite episodes are each month we take a pop culture related item that we are enjoying that month, and we talk to the others about it. So, Beth, why don't you start us off?
Oh, well, I'm kind of the wild card this month because my favorite thing lately has been intermittent fasting. So I read a lot of diet books. I don't do a lot of diets, but I like to read diet books. And I kind of always have been like, I've always sort of enjoyed that. And I was a really chubby kid, and I just was constantly looking for like the thing that would like solve my weight problem, which is not what I do now. Now it just is a part of my brain that like just enjoys sort of reading that kind of stuff. And when there's new diets or whatever. So anyways, and I've tried probably every kind of diet you can think of. I've done like paleo, I've done vegan, I've done like low carb, like ketogenic, and anyways. So I had read a book by Dr. Jason Fung called The Obesity Code. And it's super long and it's got a lot of scientific studies in it, but basically it is debunking the like calories in, calories out diet dogma, which like I have known from reading other books that is like not true, right? Like
if you want to lose weight, you have to
eating less, moving more does not equal like weight loss.
Okay. Because
it's like the kind of calories matter, and according to, Dr. Fung, the time that you eat the calories matters as well. And then there's all of these like obese tribes that were like thin, and then they eat, they're eating less calories, but they're eating grains now because, crops and stuff, and they're all huge, even though they're like eating less. Yeah. And there's pictures of like these tribes, like now they're just like big, like this sort of like the way you would imagine like big fat, like, I don't know.
People?
Yeah. Big fat, like Hawaiians, like in big grass skirts and stuff.
Okay. Big old tribe of fatties.
Right. Anyways. So then that led me to, so his like remedy, he runs an institute where he cures people's like diabetes and stuff with fasting, and is all very scientific. So I was like, very interested in this book. Then I read another book. He wrote 2 fasting books. I read them both. Wow. And then I read this other book called Delay, Don't Deny, which is by this woman named Jen Stevens, who's a PhD, but she's not a medical doctor. But she just writes about how she came across intermittent fasting and it did all these like wonderful things for her weight and her body. Then I read another book called What When Wine by, I know, not by Dr. Fung. Her name is Melanie Avalon.
Melanie Fung. And
she's an advocate for intermittent fasting, and that also has a lot of science in it. But her thing is like that wine does really good things for our bodies, specifically like red wine. And she's a proponent of intermittent fasting too. So anyways, now Jen Stevens and Melanie Avalon have a podcast together called the Intermittent Fasting Podcast. Oh. They answer intermittent fasting questions. They're both lovely. Like Melanie Avalon is my age. Jen Stevens is probably in her 50s. Her kids are like out of college. But they're funny and I like it. Anyways, I've been doing intermittent fasting, which I haven't even said what it is, which is basically like there's different ways to do it. But I do the window approach, which is like I eat all of my food for the day in a 5-hour window of time. So like today I ate lunch at 1 and then I finished dinner at like 5:45. So like you eat all of your food in a short window of time. Like some people, so that's called like 19-5. Obviously there's 24 hours in a day. So that's the 19-5 approach. Huh. Some people will do like 22-2 approach, or some people do like 16-8, which is like the common one. Because 16 hours of fasting is when you start to see the benefits of fasting, which are that your body stops using the food that you have eaten recently as fuel, and it starts going into like your fat stores. And by not digesting food for so long, your body can like focus on other things like healing, autophagy, which is like cell renewal, and cleaning out proteins and dead cells. And they use it for like cancer treatments and stuff, like these extended periods of fasting, because it's lets your body focus on healing other things. So I started doing it because I feel like I had been having a real lack of energy. I also joined a gym, so this isn't like a scientific study, because I started working out and started intermittent fasting at the same time. Yeah. But I feel really good. I have like an app where I track my like eating window. And I think I've been doing it for like 40 days, 45 days. And
really?
Yeah, and I've only eaten, I haven't gone over 8 hours for an eating window. And I try to stick around 5. It's really hard, especially on the weekends. I like breakfast.
I was wondering about breakfast.
Yeah, you just don't eat breakfast. I mean, I don't eat breakfast.
Can you have coffee?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you can have black coffee, water, and unsweetened tea. But not like flavored teas, like black tea, green tea, or white tea, And
then during your window, you can eat whatever you want.
Correct. Yep.
So you can eat a pizza for lunch and a pizza for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to try to stick to one meal a day. So I have like I have a snack size, quote unquote thing. Like I usually eat, when I break my fast, I eat a big meal. And then like dinner today, I just had a really small plate of food. So like I ate a really big lunch at 1 and then I ate dinner at 5:30, and I just had a little tiny bit because I wasn't hungry because I was still full from my lunch, which for lunch I had a sandwich and some tortilla chips with avocado, and then I had a banana chocolate chip banana muffin, and some chocolate covered mangoes, and then then I had like a little portion of dinner, which was like a shepherd's pie. Anyways, I feel really good, and I haven't.
Really good.
Well, thank you. I have only lost a couple pounds in these 45 days, but my clothes fit insanely loose. Like here, I'm gonna stand up and show Matt like how loose like my pants are.
Those are very loose pants.
Yes, they are. So like my clothes fit a lot better, but I haven't lost, which is like, people say like you shouldn't, they say that you shouldn't look at the scale.
They do say that. So you don't track calories at all?
Nope. Yeah, and you're supposed to think of it like a healthy thing you're doing with like a benefit of weight loss. Like, don't think of it like I'm doing this to lose weight. Like, I'm doing this for energy and to help, cell renewal and who knows if I'll stick to it, but I really do like it. Well, and it's helping a lot of these issues I have around like food guilt because I never have to think like, oh, should I eat this? Shouldn't I eat this? Yeah. It's like, I can eat whatever I want.
Right.
And there's only so much food you can eat in 5 hours. Like, two meals in 5 hours is hard to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and the studies show that if I eat 2,000 calories intermittent fasting and 2,000 calories spread out all day, then I will lose weight doing intermittent fasting. Because in the off time, your body starts to burn your own fat as fuel. And I have started like noticing when I get into like a ketogenic state, which is what it's called when your body starts burning your own fat, you get like a weird taste in your mouth and you start to feel like sort of like a high, like a weird energy. I kind of feel cold.
You're on drugs?
Yeah. Could that also do with the heroin? Or
I also started taking drugs. That's why this is not the variables in my experiments are just no. I've been doing like fasted cardio. Like I go to the gym on an empty stomach and like work out fasted. So I'm liking it. Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, I am too. So I want to keep it up as long as I like feel good doing it,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, I like the idea of diets where you just eat whatever you want.
Yeah. It's a very nice, and men can easily get the benefits. Like you would get the same benefits in a 5-hour window as my 5-hour window in an 8-hour window.
Really?
Yeah, because women, their bodies want to keep fat, because for childbearing and that the energy that requires. So women's bodies are hesitant to like use their fat as a source of fuel, while men's bodies are like, whatever,
Men's bodies are the best.
They're whatever, that's for sure.
I love a man's body. Oh, that's me.
So that was a lot of me talking, so I'm sorry, but I'm really into it. Like as you can tell, I've read a lot of books really fast and like I'm binging this podcast. I really like it. There's also different approaches. Like what's really popular is 5-2, where you literally don't eat 5-2 like 5 days a week. You eat whatever you want, and 2 days a week you don't eat anything.
That seems dangerous.
And there's 4-3 where it's the same thing. But this is called, like, what I do is the window approach, or the 1 meal a day approach, the OMAD approach. So, yeah, it's different. It's interesting.
Well, maybe Chris and I will get
the science is really fascinating.
Oh, they're going to say the science is really fake.
It's really fascinating. There's a ton of studies, and it took me, it did take me, 2 weeks of this is miserable, I'm hungry all the time, 2 solid weeks before. I really don't even think about eating before, 1 p.m. now.
Oh, wow. Well, Chris and I are going to give it a shot.
No, we're not. But
you said no, we're not?
Yeah, I said no, we're not. We're doing the Mediterranean diet here. We've been doing it for about a month.
All you eat is olives.
All we eat is feta. Olives and feta, yeah. No, it's great. It's there's not really a ton of restrictions as long as it's unprocessed, no processed foods, whole grain breads only.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. It tastes good. My clothes are fitting better. I sleep better.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. They also recommend a glass of red wine a night, but that's not my favorite thing, so.
You don't like red wine?
I do like it, but I would learn, especially if I tried to do it, after a bad day, it would just put me in a bad mood.
Oh. What? Oh.
Yeah, wine enhances how you're feeling. So if it's been a great day, yeah, I'll have a glass of wine and I'm happy. If I've just come into work and I come home from work and I'm in a grumpy mood, it just kind of makes me sad and sleepy. And
I find that it relaxes me.
And it messes with my sleep too. I think it puts my blood pressure up a little bit.
Yeah, that could be true.
Well, Beth, that's very interesting. You always bring in the interesting ones. Now you don't just stick to TV shows and stuff.
That's
like
true.
that.
You do.
Well, thank you. And You're welcome.
Thank you. So, now we're going to move on and talk about some TV shows.
Yeah.
So I'll go next, Matt, if that's all right.
Please.
So I finished, it's been out for about a month or two now, but I finished Netflix's Dead to Me. So this is a Netflix drama comedy. It is about Jen, played by Christina Applegate. She's a widow who meets another grieving woman named Judy, who is played by Linda Cardellini, and they meet at a support group. Jen's husband was struck by a car. Judy's boyfriend, I forget how he died. But we learn really early on that not everything is as it seems. And every episode, as their friendship is growing and they're kind of dealing with grief, it also includes its own twists and revelations and new mysteries. So I binged through this pretty quickly. It's 10 episodes, but they're all about a half hour long. And it's very enjoyable. Mainly it's the chemistry between Applegate and Cardellini. I like both of them quite a bit. Christina Applegate is always in very funny things, and Linda Cardellini was really good in Freaks and Geeks. I think this is probably their best showcase yet. I think it's the best work they've done. When the show is really working, it's a darkly funny comedy about friendship and grief. And I actually thought the show's best episode was one where they got to leave. They kind of left behind home and everything and the mysteries to go off on a grief retreat. And that's the show's, I think, best episode.
That was a really good episode.
And, Cardellini's really great she's kind of a very nice, kind-hearted woman with some really major baggage and other issues. And Applegate kind of plays this lady who's very abrasive and anger-filled, and she's finding out some stuff that doesn't really make that go away. There's a really fun supporting cast to it. James Marsden is a really douchebag ex of Judy's, and he's really fun to watch. This is a fun show. It's been very popular. I don't think I laughed a ton, but it was one of those shows where I found it funny even though I wasn't really laughing. It's very dark humor in many places. But I actually thought the mystery and the revelations every minute, that was the stuff I was less interested in. Beth, you saw the show, right? You watched it?
I did watch it, and I was kind of shocked at how popular it was. It was one of those things where I saw it on Netflix, and Netflix was like, maybe you'll like this. And I was like, maybe I will. And I turned it on. And I watched, I was home by myself for an evening, and I probably watched, they're quick episodes. I probably watched 4 or 5 episodes in a row. And I was like, wow, this is really good. They're both of the actresses are on point, and their friendship is really lovely. I think the show's, commentary on female friendship is something that I, enjoy watching. I think there's not enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, I really liked it. It was super popular though. That's right. That's the point I was trying to make. Then it turned out everyone I knew had also watched it. Even people that my sister had watched it, my cousins, my 2 girlfriends that I text every day, both were watching it at the same time, unbeknownst to me. So, I think, and everyone that I talked to really enjoyed it. It's very, very well done. But I agree that the relationship between specifically the 2 main characters is what kept me coming back more than the mystery, which was good, and the twists were enjoyable and entertaining, but it wasn't why I was there.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of how I felt. It's this really good show about this friendship and about grief and moving on. And then it throws in all these twists and mysteries, which, like you said, they're not bad. And I probably, watch the next episode really quickly because of every twist. But over time, I started to roll my eyes whenever they'd bring up, oh, but she doesn't know this, and this is happening. And it felt almost like a soap opera at a certain point.
Yeah, I agree.
And then,
what?
Oh, it became one of those shows where by the end of it, everything could have been made better if someone just said the truth, like said what was going on. Like, there's one character who has a very big secret, and there's no reason by the end that she's just not fessing up to it. And I was like, this show's going to pull this out until, like, the last episode.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Barry, which we talked about last time, where I thought, like, those secrets and the revelations kind of revealed more about the characters and added a lot of tension. It just felt like those were thrown in to get you watching the next episode as quickly as possible. Like, it felt kind of clumsy.
Yeah. Well, not, like, tacked on, but, yeah. Not the main point, for sure.
Yeah, I'd love it. It ends on a cliffhanger, and there is a season 2 coming. But I would love it if season 2 opened, and it was just like them referring to the cliffhanger and being like, well, you know, that wrapped up nicely, and then the show is just them hanging out.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing that I liked about it was that Christina Applegate has 2 sons. And what bothers me about shows sometimes is that when one of the main characters has kids, it always seems like, who's watching their kids? Or they never have their kids, and they're like there, but they're not. And like they had just lost their dad too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they absolutely just gloss over it.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually had a few episodes where they deal with the kids like in sort of a realistic way, where it was like, oh yeah, while all this stuff was going on, I was being a bad mother because,
yes,
you know, so, and I actually liked that because I liked Christina Applegate's character is so like human. And that was like, oh yeah, I'm a crappy mom too. So
yeah,
like,
and they did some little things that I thought were really interesting. Like, I thought their approach to religion was something I thought was really fascinating. Like, there's this pastor who's the head of their grief group, and, you know, but he's kind of got his own issues, and they don't deal with him too much. But I love that the voice of spirituality in this show, the guy who's, like, leading their prayers and everything, is Jen's business partner, who is gay, which I thought was a really interesting way to kind of, you know, bring some more inclusivity in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I like the show a lot. I kind of felt like you don't need to keep throwing the mysteries. I like the show as it is. I like these characters. I'll watch them. And
right.
But I would definitely recommend the show because it is really worth it to watch Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini, who are really great actresses and have a lot of good chemistry in this. And, yeah, they're both often very funny and very moving, and I think it's a great show to watch with your significant other. Something for everyone. It's like funny and engaging, and
mine watched it without me, so I probably will not watch it.
I watched it without mine, so Matt, I should have called you. We should have watched it together.
I'm just saying.
What, Chris?
I said I should have called you. We should have watched it together.
We are like the original Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini, or whatever you said.
We really are. We really are.
Well, I'm just thinking of the couple that listens to our podcast together, and they have their like notepad out to take, to write down all of the things.
So don't watch this separately. Watch this together.
Watch it together, you two, you crazy kids.
But if there is a couple listening to this together, I would say what you should do is listen to our podcast separately, because that really helps our numbers. So, Matt, you have not seen the show, correct?
I've not seen it at all. No, I like Christina Applegate, so I thought about watching it just for her. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not really in any rush. You guys are kind of giving me like I can't tell if you guys Chris, like I can't tell if you like it or not. Like you're saying we should watch it, but then at the same time it's like you don't like the fun mysteries or whatever. I don't know what's going on.
I like it.
I really like it, so I'll probably watch it.
It's Christina Applegate at her best, really. I was super impressed with her. So
I would say, okay, there's a critic I like, Dan Feinberg, who wrote about the show, and he had kind of the same feeling I did, that the mystery was just too much. And he's like, it's gravy. You don't need it. The mystery is gravy, and it's actually gravy on an ice cream sundae. You were already going to enjoy the ice cream sundae. You don't need the gravy on
gross.
It. So, yeah, I know. Yeah. Matt, why don't you take us home?
All right. let's go home. So I've been watching, and this has been on for a few years, but I just am getting around to it. It's the Amazon original, The Man in the High Castle. It's the first season came out in like 2015, 10 episodes, and then the second season released in the end of 2016, and the third season released October 2018. And they are currently working on season 4, which I think is the last season. And so it's basically, the plot is that it's based on Philip K. Dick's novel by the same name, The Man in the High Castle. And essentially what happened, the story is it's a parallel universe where the Axis powers have won World War II, and the United States has been divided into the Greater Nazi Reich, which is kind of the East Coast into the Great Plains, and the Japanese Pacific states, which is basically just the West Coast into kind of in Nevada, Arizona, and then there's kind of a neutral middle ground. And so the series starts in 1962, and so it follows characters who kind of get wrapped up in this kind of thing they don't really understand, which involves some newsreels and home movies which show Germany losing the war. So that's kind of the basic plot. It stars, there's people you would recognize, but there's certainly several of them they're not household names. Alexa Davalos is is one of the main characters. I'm trying to think what else you would know her from. I don't know. She was in Chronicles of Riddick and The Mist.
I do like The Mist.
Yeah, she's very good. Rupert Evans, who you probably would recognize from something.
Wait, who? Rupert Everett?
Yeah, no, Rupert Evans.
Oh, I know the name, but yeah.
I don't know. I didn't recognize any of it. There's no one famous.
Rupert Evans was, you remember the original Hellboy movie, the first Hellboy movie?
Yeah.
He was like the young FBI agent, John Myers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So basically there's a couple characters living on the West Coast, and there's a couple characters from the East Coast. So one of the main characters is a Nazi officer, and he's pretty much a bad guy, but he goes through some interesting in this world. They like, because of the Nazis or who the Nazis are, if you get sick or you're infirm, like they just are like, whoop, you're dead. They kill you, or because there's no room for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In their society, in the society that they've created. And his son, he's a very high-ranking Nazi officer in the Greater Reich, which is in the United States, the former United States. And it turns out his son has a congenital, some kind of disease, some kind of genetic disease where he's not doing well. And so it's kind of in the first season you find out about it, but it kind of is it's kind of going on a little bit, and then I'm about halfway through the second season, and in the second season it really becomes a central plot point for this character as he's trying to figure out what to do to protect his son, because on one hand he's like a Nazi shitbag, but on the other hand he's like, oh, I love my son, So yeah, the first season was pretty good. I thought it was.
I didn't make it through the first season.
The first few episodes are a little slow. I could see why I think when it came out, the reviews were kind of but the production value is really good, and the performances are good. It's just a little slow as it's kind of I think there's a little too much world building going on early on, so it's a little.
It's worth it though.
But I think so. The second season, you get a sense of what these films are, and the character, the Man in the High Castle, he's collecting them. And so the first season, they're kind of some of these films, some of the characters are trying to get them, and they're trying to get them to this guy in the high castle, and you don't know what the purpose is. And then in the beginning of the second season, it kind of gives you a sense of what those are and how they kind of advance the plot, and it certainly becomes much more interesting. So I found the second season to be a lot more fun, and the pacing is better, and so I'm excited to watch through it and catch up to the season 3 so I can watch season 4 when it releases, because like I said, it's very good. Good performances, and the production value is, I mean, like anything on any of those streaming services these days, it's really pretty impressive.
I remember that too. I mean, I think I watched the first season pretty close to when it came out. There was only one season out when I watched it, and I think I watched, like, kept falling asleep, because I remember watching that first or second episode like 3 times, honestly. And then I think I watched 3, and then I just could not, because I was like, this looks like something I'd like, and I just couldn't make myself watch it.
There's a few episodes where a couple of the main characters are like kind of hanging out in this little town, like waiting for something to happen. And it's very like, you really have to force your way through that, because there's really not a whole lot going on. They're just like, you're kind of learning about the characters and about the world, but
that's like the youngish man officer and like the chick. Yes, I do. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
But yeah, like I said, I think it was.
Is it like in black and white, or is it just like
no? I think color. I could see it being in black and white, though. That seems like it would have been some kind of stylized.
Maybe it's just the cinematography that I'm thinking of is a little like dingy.
I mean, the whole world, maybe, yeah. There's certainly a dinginess to the world that they live in.
Yeah.
Because they're the 2 of the main characters live in the Japanese states, where white people are like a second, third class citizen, to the Japanese, and so their living conditions are kind of dingy, and their clothes are kind of dingy, and their jobs are very dingy, and so I mean,
I do remember the beginning. The main character the main character that I saw was a chick, and she's just like a young white woman, but she's like getting a cool Japanese tea, and then she's going to her like karate class or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like,
I could live there. Yeah,
I would do that.
Yeah, it's certainly more appealing than like the Nazi land. That's. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's set up an interesting kind of mystery as far as where the plot's going. And
Chris, have you watched any of it? Sorry, we haven't.
No, I haven't watched any of it. I've kind of heard mixed things. I have some friends who really like it, others who have kind of said, "Oh, it's a little slow," and they tuned out after like 3 episodes.
Is that just me and Matt just now?
Yeah, literally. I mean, you guys show what I've been hearing on the last few years. I love the idea. I think it's one of those shows that I just know I'll never get around to it. But I love that idea. And I feel like this show came out right at the time where the idea of Nazis in the United States kind of became, that might be something we want to wrestle with.
Yeah.
Are they hour-long episodes, Matt?
Yes, they are hour-long episodes. But it's only...
episodes?
10, he said in the first
season.
It's
only 30. At this point, there's only 30 episodes to watch, so it's not that much.
Only 30. It's only 30 hours.
Well, yeah, you're about to watch Sopranos or whatever, and that's only 70 hours.
No, I've never finished Sopranos.
Look, let's not argue about it. But that's a lot.
Oh, you want me to watch Lost? You want to watch Lost?
No one wants you to watch
Chris
Lost.
Does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. That's way more.
Chris.
It is a lot more. But you really, you only need to watch like 10 episodes of Lost. You'll be fine.
Oh, okay. So. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting premise, and you can get through like I said, the slow first half of season 1. So far, I'm enjoying it. So, yeah.
Is there handsome people in it? The main kid was kind of handsome.
He's kind of handsome, I guess. Other than that, not really.
Bunch of uggos.
Yeah. Just normal people living their life,
Oh, I did finish Barry, by the way, because he was on our favorites last month, and it's so good. You guys were right. So if anyone hasn't watched it yet,
yeah,
so good.
Barry!
Watch Barry.
Watch Barry. Yeah. Yeah, no, I kind of do want to add Man in the High Castle to my queue. It's just, I think it also came out at that time where it was one of the first Amazon shows.
I believe you're right, yes.
For sure.
And now it's like, there's like 20,000 Amazon shows.
Yeah.
So
Did anyone watch the second season of Goliath? Or the first season of
I
Goliath?
didn't watch the first season of Goliath.
You didn't? They believe Bob Thornton one? I thought we all watched that.
No,
none
of us watched
I thought we all of us
Yeah, you
that
wouldn't
watch
shut up
TV
about
watch
it.
that. It was
And
so
we all
good.
agreed we wouldn't watch it because Billy Bob Thornton's the worst.
Whatever. Billy Bob Thornton, he's not great, but he's good in this.
How is the second season of Goliath, Beth?
It was really good.
Oh, I was hoping to trap you up with like, oh, I didn't watch it.
Oh no, it was really good. But I was like, hey, we never talked about that show.
I'm sure we did.
Anyways, go keep watching Sneaky Pete or whatever the shit
Stinky
you watch
Pete.
on Amazon.
I think that's on like season 3, by the way.
I think it just got canceled.
Did it? No.
Yeah, after like 3
No,
seasons.
because it was a Stinky Pete.
First season was good.
First season was good, and then I don't know what the
watch
others.
the first season of Stinky Pete, but not.
Bryan Cranston.
I feel like eventually this is going to turn into a Mandela effect thing with the show, where everyone's going to be like, Sneaky Pete? I thought it was called Stinky Pete.
We did it.
Berenstein.
We did it.
Well, guys, this was fun.
This was
It
fun.
was so much fun, you guys.
And,
That
of
was
course,
a-hole.
we want to know what our listeners are watching and reading and listening to. So please contact us on Facebook or send us an email. Beth, where can they send us an email?
They can email us at hellowastingtimepodcast@gmail.com. Please email us. Otherwise, Chris is going to watch Man in the High Castle, and we don't want him doing that.
Ha!
You can also tweet to us at Wasting Time Podcast. And
That
let us
is
know what you're watching. But we're also all very busy on our other Twitter and social media feeds. Like, Matt, what's yours?
I'm on Twitter at Matt December.
And Beth, where are you?
I'm at unicornfood.com. That's my website. That's YOUNICORN food.com. And all my socials are on there, my email.
All right. You can find me at Mere Christianity. You can read me writing about film at MichiganSportsAndEntertainment.com. And you can listen to my other podcast, We're Watching Here. It's also part of the Big Heads Media Network. And we will be back next weekish.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.